People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
And I am back. Welcome back to 2 Cents Worth. I am your host, Ryan DeFaber. It has been 4 months since my last podcast. I have some things to tell you. I have some things to talk about. And we will get on that. Season 2 is here, my friends, my listeners. So my last podcast was Mother's Day, and then it was a whirlwind. And after doing, I don't even remember now, 30, 40 episodes, at times I was doing twice a week, once a week. Started once a week, trying to get guests, got a bunch of guests on for a while. Then it was a weekly rundown, and then with 2 a week, and then it went down to 1. Stopped trying to chase guests, get guests as I could or as I wanted. If friends wanted to come on, whatnot, but really kind of stopped chasing down guests, and just giving you guys kind of updates of what was going on in the world of sports and fitness or my life. And we got to Mother's Day, and I got that done. And the plan was to continue going and go through the summer, and kind of life got in the way, and priorities changed, and I focused more on, at that point in time, I focused more on my my schedule and work and travel and vacations and family and my personal health and fitness, and focus more on, in regards to this podcast, focus more on the social network side of it, where, I put more things on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, and those things, rather than sitting down and recording it and just kind of doing more stories and posts, and actually more stories than posts a lot of the times, because of how busy my summer was. So, and the lovely wife just walked in. You're going to sit here and listen? Okay, that's fair. So that was the focus, and after a couple weeks, it was more of, well, let's just take the summer off. And as the summer went on, it was probably the best idea, the best thing that I could have done, for the fact that it was just a very busy summer. So Mother's Day was the last episode, as I mentioned. That following week, I went on my spring golf trip, which, if you go back in the episodes, you'll hear about the fact that I talked about planning a golf trip or any type of trip, and the things that I do, and some tips and tricks for anyone that is willing to do that. And actually, I had someone reach out to me that listened to the podcast, sent me an email, 2centsworthpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send me an email, ask me any questions, you can go on Instagram, 2centsworthpodcast, and send me a DM if I don't already have you on my phone. But actually asked me for the player packet that I spoke about a golf trip, because he was planning a golf trip. So I thought that was pretty cool. Actually, months after I recorded that episode. So appreciate that for the person that listened. If you were listening to this episode, thank you very much for having the willingness to send me an email, and I got you that information. And again, I appreciate that. So went on that golf trip, came back, and again, the plan was, we'll continue doing the podcast. And then it was just kind of, other things kind of kept on coming up. Every weekend kept on being busy for one reason or not. We went to Florida for a few days to visit Lindsay's family in June. Again, kind of things backing themselves up, busy with work, the kids, and finishing up school. So Nolan finishing up school in June, finishing up kindergarten, and Harrison finishing up his first year in preschool in late May. And all of a sudden we're into July, and July is Harrison's birthday, and right after that, myself and Lindsay and our good friends, my best friend Matt and his wife Ashley, who have both been on the podcast multiple times, we went to the Dominican, and I'm going to touch on that too, because I do want to talk about, give my 2 cents on what you should really believe in the media and whatnot. But we'll get into that. I don't really talk politics on here, so that's not going to be political. It's just going to be more so of like, don't be afraid to live your life type thing. Back from that trip, and it was basically a week and a half, 2 weeks. Kids were in camp. And then we went on family vacation with the kids down to the beach. Matt and Ashley and their kids came as well. So that was the first week of August. It was my birthday. A couple days before that, it was Matt's birthday. Lindsay had a birthday in June. My mom had a birthday in June. And then get back from the beach. I have to travel for work, so I travel for work to Dallas, as you guys see. Like again, all of this is kind of timelined in the Instagram stuff. But if you aren't following along with that, you can just see kind of how all the things back up, and to be able to sit down and really come up with a plan to talk about, and to, again, none of this is edited, but to put it all together and put the intro music together and get it all online and all that. And I do it all myself. It just takes time. And sometimes, I just don't have that time. So all of a sudden, it was basically end of August, and I ended my summer, I will say, even though summer ends the 21st of September, or 20th of September, depending on the whenever fall starts. And I finished it off with a guy's trip to New York with another one of my best friends, Pete Mermel, for his birthday. His birthday is the 31st of August. If you know Pete and you didn't say happy birthday, it's never too late to say happy birthday. So say happy birthday. But if you follow along, you know Pete and I, he's my workout partner. I've known him for now, So we met my freshman year of college, so that's 2002. So I've known Pete for 17 years. And ended up marrying a girl that I went to high school with, funny enough. So he's from Pennsylvania and married a girl I went to high school with. They both went to Wingate. Lindsay and I went to Wingate. That's how we all met, and we've stayed close, and he's one of my best friends. And so we went up to New York. I was there for work and stayed through the weekend. We went to a Yankees game. We're both Yankee fans. I had a friends Mike and Adam join us for that weekend, and it was great. And we came home Labor Day weekend. And Mike Claudio, who was one of my first guests on the podcast, if you go back to him, Win Rate Consulting, he started his own podcast, now has two, Remodeling the Carolinas and another one, and I'm sure he'll listen to this and yell at me that I didn't know what the other one's name is. But it hasn't come out yet, so you can't really yell at me, so go fuck yourself. Went up, had a great time in New York, and now, kind of got the itch back to getting back into this thing. And then I was thinking about it a couple minutes ago before I recorded, and I started putting some stuff out on Instagram today. It's Friday night right now, but this will probably come out Sunday or Monday. I'll plan ahead and kind of get it done over the weekend, putting it all together. But all of a sudden, I realized it's been 4 months, and so I want to get back into it. I'm going to still try and get it out once a week, if I can. Life will get in the way, I promise you that. I will have guests again. I've reached out to some people, and some people have reached out to me, and that's very kind of you. And if you want to be on the podcast, please reach out to me. Let me know. If you're in the Charlotte area, I'd love to have you on. Love to host you, get you a couple drinks. As I'm enjoying right now, I'm drinking a beer, and you'll hear the can crack for another one as we move along here, because I'm almost done with this one. But I'm saying a lot, and it's more so getting comfortable again and trying to come up with things to... I got a lot of stuff on my brain to talk about. I wanted to talk about the origin of Death to Dad Bod. Again, if you followed along with the Instagram over the summer, or my Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, you've seen hashtag Death to the Dad Bod. I do want to talk about the origin of that, and I want to talk about the motivating factors behind that for me. And if I don't get into that today, I'm going to try and keep this, in the past it was about an hour. I want to keep it close to 30 to 45 minutes for each episode if I do it by myself, and then if I have a guest, I'll do it about an hour. So I will talk about that. If not, that'll be episode 2 of season 2. So you'll hear about that because there is a lot to get into on that. So the summer recap is that very quickly, but I did want to go back to talking about the Dominican. So obviously very much in the news this summer and spring about the deaths and the resorts and what was going on. And I always had it in my mind that we were never not going to go on that trip. I never really try and get into the hype of what the media has to say, and it's not a way of dissing the media. There are stories out there that are important, but at the same time, there are things that you can see when you watch it and you change the channel and it's on every channel. And I never want to say conflicting because it's not conflicting, but it just seems like they're harping on things. And then when you put timelines together, you look at it and you go, is this truly serious, or is this trying to take our attention away from something else that might be going on? And if you looked at the hysteria that they put towards the Dominican Republic, and mind you, this would have been my third time, and it's the third time I've been to the country. It's been nothing but fantastic. And the first time, it wasn't to a resort. It was for a quote-unquote mission trip in high school, and I say quote-unquote because it was truly to go down there and play baseball. There was mission activities a part of it, but more so led by our guide than any of the students that were part of it. We were there to play baseball. And we went to some very rundown areas, a Haitian town of refugees, and we stayed basically right outside of Santo Domingo. And in the early 2000s, Dominican was not as nice as it is now. It wasn't the resort areas that they have today. But I've never felt unsafe going to that country, and to see the hysteria that the media put out in America. And then again, when you put the timelines together and families are coming out talking about, oh, well, this family member died 2 years ago in the Dominican. If you look at it, there was never any type of increase, and go and look at the data. There was never any type of increase of deaths this year compared to any other year. But because two of them happened so closely together and were in the same resort, it all blew up. So we went to Excellence Punta Cana. This is the second time I've gone to an Excellence resort. Lindsay and I went to Excellence El Carmen in Punta Cana. So they're basically kind of right next to each other. The Excellence brand, if you're ever trying to go on a all-inclusive resort, the Excellence is fantastic. They have 2 in the Dominican, right next to each other in Punta Cana, direct flight from Charlotte, direct flight probably from a lot of places. There's quite a few Europeans that come in from England and Ireland. They have a lot of direct flights. There's people from Russia that came into the Dominican on direct flights. So you can get there very easily, direct flight. If not, if you're in the U.S., a lot of them just kind of fly in from Miami, so that's where your connection is. They have one in Jamaica, and they have 2 Excellence resorts in Cancun area. Fantastic resorts, fantastic pricing, and wonderful people. The staff in these facilities are absolutely outstanding. They're extremely appreciative of you being there, and at the same time, they make sure to go out of their way to make sure you have a great time and engage with you. They're not, some staff in some places obviously can be a little overbearing. Never the case there. They're extremely nice, and it's just a great time. So we went with Matt and Ashley, had a wonderful time. And the unfortunate thing that we saw, now we were in the low season, so in obviously the summer for the Caribbean islands is the low season. Winter and late fall is the busy season, and early spring because it's colder everywhere else, but that's where people go to escape to go for trips. But went in July, and they openly admit with everything that was going on in the media that they had low occupancy, and it was about 40%, maybe even less than that, occupied. There was complete buildings that were empty, which is a shame because never felt unsafe. And let me tell you, we tried every type of alcoholic drink there was there. Never had a bad drink. Never felt sick. Tried every type of food, fried, unfried, local, whatever they had. And it was all cooked well and very good. And so what I want to say to that is my 2 cents on this whole thing is trust your gut. Do your research. Don't believe everything that you see on TV. Don't believe everything that you read because, and check my stats on this, but I believe it's like 3 or 4 companies own 90% of what you see, hear, and read in the news and the media. So think about that. 3 to 4 companies control every single thing in America. 4. You're looking it up now?
I heard about it the other day on a podcast.
So it's 4.
Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple.
Yeah, no, that's not right. CBS isn't owned by Facebook, Google.
Wait, what are you saying?
I'm saying 4 companies own 90% of what you see, hear, read.
I can look it up.
Like whoever owns CBS, whoever owns ABC, like those companies, whoever owns these. Well, I mean, hell, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, so Amazon could be one. But anyways, it's like 4 companies, 90% of what you. So don't do your own research.
Sorry,
Go to.
misunderstood.
It's fine. And people probably can't even hear what the hell you're saying. And it sounds like I'm just talking something. Lindsay's trying to give me stats that were wrong. But regardless, like I go on like TripAdvisor. I go to other websites that aren't tied to these media companies to see like what other people that are going on these trips have to say. We were part of a Facebook group of people that were going on a daily basis to this resort, telling us before we even arrived what it was about. So that's my suggestion to you. Don't let the media get you all stirred up. My parents were so worried. Everyone was talking about it. Like even friends like that are our age were like, "Are you still gonna go?" Fuck yeah, I'm still gonna go. Like I'm not a diphead. I'm not a dickhead. I'm not gonna do something stupid. I'm not gonna overdo it. And at the same time, I know my safety and what I need to do to get back home safely to my children. I mean, that's it. That's for any trip that I go on, regardless whether it was Dominican or not. Like Lindsay always made this statement when anybody would come up to us and say, "Oh man, are you worried?" She's like, "We could go on any trip and potentially get hurt. It doesn't need to be the Dominican. We could go to Charleston, South Carolina and get in a fight, or not a fight, but like, something could happen. We could go. I could have gone to New York this past 2 weekends ago and something could happen. Like, don't be afraid to live your life. My 2 cents is don't believe everything you hear. Don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you read. Because there's a lot of bullshit out there. Trust your gut. That trip was amazing. Go back and look at the pictures I put on there. If you ever want to go to the Dominican, I highly suggest Excellence Punta Cana, Excellence El Carmen. Fantastic resorts, fantastic people, fantastic prices. So I did want to touch on that. I'm getting asked, how was the first podcast? I'm not done, Matt. I'm recording now. Again, so I did want to say to those, again, thank you for the people, and as Matt brought that up, I was the first one going. It's going. It's probably not going to be as smooth as my first season as I got into it was. But I'll get better again. I'll get back in the groove of things. But I do want to say thank you to those that have continued to listen. So I looked today for the first time in 4 months of the stats on listeners and everything. And surprisingly, I haven't pushed the podcast all summer. Basically, since Mother's Day, I haven't said a word about the podcast, more of my fitness journey, what I've been doing, what I've been working on, my weight loss, my vacations, my running, all of that type of stuff has basically been consumed on the social media side of it rather than me pushing the podcast for you to go and listen to the episodes. And yet I looked today for the first time in the last 30 days. Now, I take this as a win. some people that might have their own podcast will look at this and go, man, those are tiny numbers. But again, remember, for 4 months, I basically left this thing alone. I had 60 downloads. And it was all types of episodes from the whole first season. And I think that was awesome. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the support. And I appreciate the support of the people that have continued to ask me about it over the summer and that they've said that they've enjoyed it. And my guests in the past and the guests that are still interested in coming on for this season so far. I want to thank you because again, it's my own motivation, right, to do this for no other reason than just to have some creative outlet, right? Like I'm not getting paid to do this. This isn't my job. This is just something I like to do, to sit down and talk to you all, the listener, and or anybody that's sitting across the desk from me. So I just want to say, thanks for the support because it does motivate me, and that's a great thing. And as you can see on what I've gone through over the last couple months, in the social media world, and again, people post what they want to post to make things look great and everything, but I had a great summer, and I think I've done a lot of growing personally as well. I turned 35 this summer, halfway to 40, but I think, from you all motivating me and seeing that you guys are still listening and people asking me about the podcast, I hope that in some aspect that I motivate one person, two, whatever it might be, because everything that we go through in life isn't easy. And if there's some similarities to my journey that might be a part of your journey, I hope that whatever I do or say might help you, and vice versa. So on that note, no, I got one right here. I'm going to crack another beer. And I haven't done it in a while, so I want to hear it. Have you ever been on a plane and when the stewardess come by and they crack the cans because of the pressure and in the cabin and everything, that sound? I don't know why, but I've always kind of enjoyed that sound of like the can cracking open on an airplane, and that just kind of reminded me of it with my headphones on. And I've been traveling, and I have more travel coming up in the next couple weeks for work. So I'll be on airplanes and in rental cars and in hotels. So that just me opening that just reminded me of it. And I am drinking a Deschutes Fresh Haze IPA, Bend, Oregon. Intensely juicy, irresistibly hazy, freshly squeezed. No fruit was harmed in making of the beer. And it's delicious. This is my third one tonight. And we had pizza earlier. And as you guys know, I always say, attack your weekend. I'm attacking it with alcohol and pizza. But I did work out this morning. Pete, you missed it. You're a punk bitch. And... Huh? And I did go on a run. I went on my Achilles was tight again today for the second time in a week or so. So I got to make sure I keep on stretching that, maybe icing it again. Went on a 2.25 run, 16 minutes flat, 2.25, 16 minutes flat. That was so I did beach muscles this morning, bis, tris, and abs. And then right after that, I went on a 2.25 mile run. So I earned my pizza and my beer today. You're texting me? The wife is texting me.
It's 6 companies that control the media.
6 companies.
90%.
So if anybody that listens to like The Fighter and the Kid or King and the Sting, so they have they have this guy Chin and Kat and Derek, and they're the people that do like the stats. And so like Brendan and Brian or Brendan and Theo will always be like, Chin, look that up. Lindsay, you're my Chin.
All right.
Or you could be my cat since Chin's a guy.
Yeah.
You could be my cat. Cat, look it up. So it's 6 companies. Are you guys ready for this? 6 companies control.
What we hear.
Is it just what we hear? Yeah, this looks like just what we hear. No, see. This is what we see.
The illusion of choice. Media has never been more consolidated. 6 media giants now control a staggering 90% of what we read, watch, or listen to.
Okay, so I was right. So it's not 4 companies. It's 6 companies, 90% of what we listen to. And it is General Electric, GE. They own Comcast, NBC, Universal, Focus Features. I've never heard of Focus Features. News Corp, their notable properties, Fox, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, Disney, ABC, ESPN, Pixar, Miramax, Marvel Studios, Viacom, MTV, which jeez, I gotta put this on vibrate. Fuck off, Matt. MTV, which doesn't play music television anymore. I don't know why they still call it that. Nick Jr., BET, CMT, Paramount Pictures, Time Warner is CNN, HBO, Time, and Warner Brothers, and then CBS, Showtime, Smithsonian Channel, NFL.com, Jeopardy, 60 Minutes. Those are their notables.
See another stat underneath that picture, though? 232 media
232 media executives control the information diet of 277 million Americans. Think about that. 232.
They do it. It's
One in every 850,000 subscribers. One media executive for 850,000 people.
basically 2 people control what we hear in Charlotte.
The city of Charlotte. 2 people control what the city of Charlotte see, hear, and read. Don't listen to the media, people. They have an agenda. Just like in politics, and I'm not going to talk about politics, but people get so fucking upset because the media portrays it that you can only be one way or the other. You can only think left or you can only think right. No, you can think any way you want to fucking think. And let me tell you, most of those polls they put up there are fucking bullshit people that are pissed at the world and want to just fucking voice their opinion. They're trolls, and they do not speak for the rest of us Americans. People can get along, and they can have differing opinions. I promise you. Preach, brother. All right. No, you're fine. I should have just set up the second microphone because you're just sitting here speaking fucking 19 feet away. No one can hear you. I can barely hear you. I have headphones on. She's laying on the floor rubbing... What is that thing called? So Lindsay's had a foot and leg injury for a year. So Miss Runner has had to watch her husband turn into a runner. And let me tell you, so part of the summer, I also did a 75-mile challenge. In the month of July, the challenge was to run and or walk 75 miles. I was able to run 75 miles. On top of that, I was able to walk 30 plus miles, which by far the most amount of miles I've ever run in my life. So how the tides have turned, unfortunately for her, it was injury, but she is sitting here with what looks like a butter knife. It's not. It is a scraper tool to basically break up her muscles in her calf and her foot. Sorry, I was taking a big gulp of my beer. To loosen up and make sure, but she has found other ways to stay healthy. So I will touch on injuries and how to work through them and some other things. And that'll be probably a good one to have Lindsay come on and talk about for a little bit of how she's had to change her basically mindset of training. Right. So somebody that for the majority of her life, training was little bit of weights, 99.9% cardio, and the cardio was always running. Run. And actually, if you look at science doesn't lie, constant cardio like that is not actually great for you. Sorry, Chuck and Ann, but it's not. And Chuck and Ann are my in-laws, and that's all they do is run. Chuck doesn't drink water either. I don't understand it. It's the most baffling thing you've probably ever seen in your life. The guy wakes up at the ass crack of midnight, not even dawn. I'm not even going to say dawn. He wakes up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes forcibly makes your mom go on a run. Guilt trips her into going on a run.
Yeah, but at like 5.
At 5, like, yeah, he waits a couple hours. But he doesn't wake up and drink water. He stretches a little. And then they'll go on like an 8-mile run. He'll come back, drink coffee, not water.
He'll do a little bit of water. Like
Flavored water,
Yeah,
because he's a 6-year-old. Drink flavored water, like my 6-year-old Nolan. My 3-year-old Harrison drinks regular water. Yeah, my father-in-law can't drink regular water. And then, so he'll go out through the whole day, and then, there's booze mixed in there. He's retired, likes his beer and his wine, which is fine. Never overindulges. And then it's like 9 o'clock, and he has Diet Dr. Pepper to put him to bed. He drinks soda to go to bed. It's the most unbelievable thing, and this is going to be gross, and I'm allowed to say it because it's my podcast. I'm allowed to say whatever I want. His piss must be fucking orange. It has to be orange all day long. Prove me wrong, Chuck. Prove me wrong. I don't even know how we got on this. Oh, I want to talk about injuries and running and cardio, but
how cardio is 90% of it. If that's all you do.
If all you do is long cardio, it's actually not great. It's not great for muscle growth. It's also not great for fat loss either, because your body gets used to the fact that it is going on these long cardio things. Anyways, so Lindsay's had to change her workout program, and she's seen the benefits of it and the differences of it and everything. So we'll talk about that this season. We'll also talk about the origin of Death to Dad Bod. So again, if you if you watch the stories from Instagram or the anytime I put a post there, that is my number one hashtag. That is the thing that I have kind of grabbed onto my own, and it is because I am a dad. The dad bod seems to be a thing now that is socially acceptable, and that's fine for those that want to have it. I am one that I oppose it. I think that you should not embrace the fact that you have a dad bod. Kids get in the way, right? Life gets in the way. That's understandable. But you can always find 15 minutes. And yet, you can't always lose the weight, right? Like, I'm not sitting here going, I look like a specimen. I certainly do not. I'm sitting here chugging beer. I had pizza today. I'm not on this crazy diet. It's not, but there's always things that you can do to always improve yourself. And believe me, so I started this summer around 197, and with hard work and changing things and creating new habits, and they are habits that become lifestyles. They are not quick fixes, right? Like you can lose a lot of weight in the first week, and I always tell people this that ask me about. They're like, "Oh, this is great. Like, what have you done?" Like, I lost 6 pounds this week, and you ask them like, "What have they changed?" And the most frustrating thing for anybody that changes something is that they give up too easily, because they see the immediate results, and when it comes to weight loss, that first week that you change your diet and you start exercising, most of that's water weight, and water weight will disappear very quickly. And that's 6, 7, 8 pounds, whatever it is, and then you plateau. And that's where the frustration comes in, and then you revert right back to your previous lifestyle because you said, well, it's not working. Whatever I was doing didn't work. I lost all this weight right away, and then all of a sudden it stopped. I don't get it. I don't know what to do. It takes 90 days for your body to start seeing changes, and it takes over a year for you to actually start seeing changes in your own body. So put that into perspective when you're changing something, and for me, like, that was a big thing. I started this thing at 197. I got down to 182. I'm probably, like, right now about 185. The goal is to get to 180, 175 and stay there. That is my personal goal, but to do it with muscle definition and not just be skinny fat. I could easily today go out and run an hour a day if I wanted to, but I don't. I like lifting. I like getting up early, as crazy as that sounds. I like getting up early and having that to look forward to, and going to the gym and getting that work in, and then also getting some additional cardio in afterwards. That is what I have turned into my habit. I've been going to the gym now at 5 o'clock in the morning for a little over 2 years now. And that is it? No, I think it's about 2 years, a little over 2 years. Close to 3 years. And that's just now a thing that I do. It's not anything that seems outrageous to me to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. But that's because, again, my schedule allows it, as well as it's the only time I really can go because of my kids' schedule and because of my work, because of marriage, everything, right? Like, all of that is part of your schedule. So what works in your schedule works for your schedule. For me, it's getting up early, getting that done, and I enjoy it. And I enjoy the journey, and I enjoy the struggle. And that's been the biggest thing I think this summer for me has been, that's a lot of my motivating factor. I figured out what motivates me. And Lindsay kind of gets on me because sometimes she's like, you're beating yourself up. When I beat myself up, that's me motivating myself. And it's not in a way to like beat myself down. Like, I'll look in the mirror and be like, oh, I need to lose weight here. I need this, or I wish this looked different. She's like, oh, you're making gains. And I'm never saying that I'm not improving, but I'm not a finished product. And that's what motivates me, is to look and go, okay, what can I work on? If I look in the mirror and go, man, all right, if I'm not feeling going on a run or going to the gym, and I look and I'm like, okay, that's my motivating factor. Seeing myself without a shirt on, or just looking at, like, I hold weight right underneath my chin, seeing that if it gets a little more weight in it, a little more, a little gobble, I'll look at that and go, okay, yep, got to get back into doing the cardio, those types of things. Like, that's the stuff that motivates me, is not like the self beat down per se, but more so self-improvement and knowing where I hold my weight. Like, my weight is held in my chin and around my waist. And when I see my face is skinnier, I know that there's improvement. And I know that the hardest part for me to lose is going to be my belly. And that goes into what I'm doing now, my beer and the food and everything. But I do change my diet a lot, and I try and stay as healthy as I can. And at the same time, I don't kill myself over it. But I also try and motivate myself through it. So find what will motivate you. And that's what I have found over these last couple months. And it helps to have people that motivate you. So Matt, my buddy, for the whole summer, he got big into running too, like even before the summer. And that helped me stay motivated too. He would text me letting me know what he would do. And I'd say, you know what, if he went and did it, let me go and do it. And I hope that for the same thing, I motivated him as well. And then when we would go on vacation together, we would work out, we'd go on runs together, that type of stuff. So we help motivate each other. Lindsay, going to the gym now every morning, that motivates me because she's motivated to go to the gym. So when I get home, I know that she's going to go to the gym, and so we're trying to always improve ourselves and have that healthy lifestyle. So that's been a lot of the improvements that we've made this summer, is really trying to improve on ourselves and that time, and it takes time, and it doesn't happen overnight, but even the little improvements make you feel good. I'm buying shirts now in medium rather than large. I can't tell you the last time I bought a medium shirt. And it's not because of I'm skinny now. It's more of like I think I've just lost in areas where shirts would just not, like in my belly and around my belly, I guess, most of the time. But I don't know. Mediums now seem to fit me. Still buy larges here and there, just depending on whoever makes it. But it's been a good summer. It's been a very busy summer. I'm happy to have the motivation to do this again. I hope that you enjoyed this one. And like I stated in the beginning, or actually as Mr. Hold on. Big gulp of beer. As our friend Mr. John Wick stated in the beginning.
People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
I'm back, baby. Thank you, everybody. Season 2.